Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's working. Welcome to the Shy Life Podcast.
Oh, darling, the Shy Life Podcast. Is that still going? Oh, joking.
Oh dear, the Shy Life Podcast. It's my favourite show.
Oh, my darling. Oh, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
Yes, it's a really incredible show.
Yes, I think I agree. I think so.
Oh, I do.
The Shy Life Podcast is not that shy.
$822. 822. 822.
822 822
822. 822. 822.
822. 822. Ah, he ate a tutu.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Shy Life Podcast with me, Paul the Shy Yeti. How are you doing? Well, I'm alright. So, what's going to be happening this episode? Well, what I can tell you is that we're back up in space again. But Ick and I have got a few bits and pieces to be doing. In fact, I'm helping him. He's doing some DIY. So, I will be chatting to you. I do have material, but I also have some extra material. I've got so much extra material and I haven't had time to share it with you. So there will be lots of other voices. So anyway, let's run the theme music, and when we come back, I'll say a little bit more. All right, run that theme music. So listeners, yes, we're back in space. We're back in space, aren't we, Ick?
Yes, we are. Yes, we're back here in space.
What are you doing? Just a minute, you're right next to me. Who's driving the ship?
Don't worry, Paul, it's on autopilot.
Autopilot, are you sure that's safe?
Oh, yes, Paul. I love the times you've been on the ship, we've been on autopilot.
I suppose you're right. So anyway, well, what are you doing? You're doing DIY? What are we shopping for stuff, or are we actually doing the DIY? Is it DIY like on the ship or on a meteor or something? Are you making a new home away from the ship?
Oh, a little bit of everything. Who knows? Who knows? Yes, but don't worry, Paul. You won't have to do any heavy lifting.
I'm very glad, because I'm not really capable of heavy lifting. It's not good for me.
No, Paul, it's probably not. Oh dear.
So, yeah, as I say, I have got some bits and pieces for this episode, but I thought I'd start off with. Well, I mean, we're travelling today, but our good friend Gianluca has also been travelling. He's travelled to Japan. Not only did I want him to record something whilst he was in Japan, which he did. It's not much, but it's appreciated. But I asked him questions about the trip. So let's listen to that first. That's our first extra material. The rest of the extra material this episode, it's going to be a mystery even to me until I start editing the episode. So, this chat with Gianluca, I wanted it to go out whilst it was still relatively recent. So yeah, let's have a listen.
Hello, friends of the Shady Podcast. I am Gianluca. I'm here in Tokyo. Akihabara neighborhood is fantastic, especially if you appreciate the net culture of the place. I spent all my money just in a day, so I'm suffering. Help me, please. Hello, Gianluca here from Osaka. Today we visited the Shinsekai neighborhood. I must say it's pretty nice actually. It's a sort of market street with a lot of shops. It's kind of amazing how Japan in every angle tries to push you in the markets and buy things you would never buy in other places. It's a miracle I survived, and I still have few yens on the wallet, but anyway. All okay here. I truly love this place. I will miss it so much. Less hours in Japan for me.
So, Gianluca, what was your very first impression when you arrived in Japan?
Okay, my very first impression was how clean and organized, I would say, everything felt. Even in huge busy areas, like for example the ones in Tokyo, there was this sense of calm that actually in southern Italy is unreachable. So it didn't feel chaotic at all, and that was the most favorite part of all the travel, in my opinion, at least for my personal taste.
Of the three cities you visited, Tokyo, Kyoto, or Osaka, which felt the most different from home?
Tokyo probably felt the most different from home. It's massive, hyper modern, and it's like everything moves pretty fast, but at the same time, it's almost quiet in the approach they have to their routine, and it's pretty interesting and also beautiful to see. It's complicated to explain. You must live in there to understand what I mean.
What was the best meal you had, and where was it?
The best meal I had was a small ramen in a chain called Ichiran. I hope I didn't pronounce it badly, but substantially is a chain. I was like, okay, probably is a trap for tourists. Like for example, when you come to Italy in Rome and they give you a carbonara pasta dish, even if the recipe is wrong completely. No, I've been surprised. It was amazing. Probably one of the most tasty dishes I ever tasted and tried. Hyper good. Hyper good.
Did you try anything unusual or outside your comfort zone?
I didn't try anything that strange, actually, also because, we start to have here in Italy a strong Japanese cuisine culture, so you can visit a lot of Japanese restaurants. So, for example, sushi to me is nothing new. I tried that when I used to go out with friends. So I already knew a bit of Japanese cuisine. Of course, I never tried everything, so that will be for a second travel there.
Which city had the best food overall?
I think Kyoto had the best food overall, even if I'm pretty sure it's just a matter of how random we arrived in some restaurants. Because, for example, you know what I mean. If you are hungry, and it happened a lot, especially when we used to walk like 20,000 steps per day. Everything is a bit better when you eat it. Taste is better. So, well, that's it.
What was the most beautiful place you visited?
It's complicated to say what has been the most beautiful place, actually, because you have this huge contrast between, especially Kyoto and Tokyo, where Kyoto is the most historical part, and the temples are beautiful, really, really beautiful. But at the same time, probably for my personal taste and opinion, Tokyo has been the most impactful one because, okay, the history is amazing, but damn Tokyo, I'm still crying. Tokyo is the representation of how beautiful can be feeling lost in a place. It's amazing. You walk in these clean, huge parks, and you have a river on your side. You turn around and you see this wonderful and giant mastodontic skyscrapers all around, like it's normal. You know what I mean? So it's amazing. I am more a fan of the modern architecture, so Tokyo has been a real to me, truly real.
Was there a cultural experience that surprised you?
As I said, talking about the cultural aspects of Japan, the most surprising part to me was how quiet people were in public, even in crowded trains. No loud conversations, no chaos, only people doing their own business. That was the paradise to me.
How was travelling between the cities? Did you enjoy the train journeys?
Getting around in Japan is a pleasure. Of course, depends on where you come from. I mean, I don't want to spend only bad words for Italy because Italy has a lot of wonderful points on its favor. But one of these is not trains, for example. Not in southern Italy, at least, because here it's complicated to have efficient trains at every hour. There is like, you can also afford not to buy a car, probably. You can move in every moment, in any GR station, with not even pretty expensive tickets in the end for the quality of the service they give you. And trains are hyper in time. and this area, it was amazing also because, I've never seen in 10 days a train arriving even with one only minute after the schedule, so truly impressive. It was amazing to move with metro, trains and buses. The Shinkansen is amazing as well, the bullet train, but that's another story.
How would you describe the vibe of Tokyo versus Kyoto versus Osaka?
About the city comparison, I would say Tokyo is modern, intense, endless. Probably. I don't know. In my mind, Tokyo has no perimeters, so it has no hand. You just go there, you keep walking, and you're always in Tokyo. You know what I mean. Kyoto is much more calm, traditional. If you think about the traditional Japanese culture, probably like 99% you're thinking about Kyoto or something pretty similar to Kyoto in the approach. Osaka is a wonderful point in the middle between Tokyo and Kyoto. Probably is more close to Tokyo in terms of modernity, but as also a lot of it historical spots now and then. And it's been pretty nice. Just sad, I'm a bit sad about the fact we spent less time there and not the right time probably it deserved. Also because it's wonderful if you are a nerd like me and passionate about pop culture like anime, manga, that kind of Japanese products.
Which city did you enjoy the most and why?
My favorite city, Tokyo. Tokyo, absolutely. The impact that Tokyo can leave you is unmatched.
Did you do any shopping? What did you end up buying?
If I do any shopping, yes. I've spent more than 200 hours in trading card games. I am, a huge fan of trading card games like, for example, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. Well, these are games for kind of young people. So probably, I don't know. I truly hope that your fans, your fandom is aware of the existence of these games. But anyway, I spent a lot of money about, especially in Yu-Gi-Oh cards. The Japanese one are wonderful, pretty static, and I spend a lot of times like observing my album with no reason, just to appreciate the figures. And I'm like I still have few money on the bank account. The favorite activity: buying these cards. Absolutely.
What surprised you the most about Japan?
What surprised me most was probably how safe everything felt. You don't have that constant watch your stuff mindset you can have in other places. So you feel like you're home, and that's pretty special.
Did anything go wrong or not as planned?
Bad episodes. Well, my group lost the train. No problem. We just waited for 5 minutes and everything was solved. So, what can I say? And cry.
What was your "this is amazing, I can't believe I'm here" moment?
Personal highlights. I would say, well, one of the most special moments I have imprinted in my memories is walking through Kyoto at sunrise. No crowds, just silence and history. It felt unreal. I mean, despite I told you Tokyo is my favorite city, but Kyoto can give you, a lot of special aesthetic spots if you are in the right place with the right light setup. So I'm kind of moved. I'm not kidding.
Overall, would you recommend the trip, and what tips would you give somebody who's going?
Yes, in the end, I absolutely recommend the travel in Japan, but please not just to go there and taking some pictures and say people, hey, I've been in Japan. No, you in general, you should have a curious approach. You should try in the limits, for the limits you have in terms of time you keep staying there, to understand people, their traditions, and just trying to adapt to a completely different world, because it's something you can never experience in any other part of the world, in my opinion. So it's a magical place, absolutely. Some tips: probably don't overpack your itinerary. You just burn out fast, in my opinion. Wake up early, absolutely. But just because Japan is magical before crowds, and you must optimize your times, because you are so well connected to your neighborhood. You need to visit everything, so you don't go there to sleep. That's for sure. And probably accepting the fact you won't see everything. That's fine. You go there for a second time, a third one, even more.
Thanks, Gianluca. I'm glad you had a really good time.
Hello, Mr. Yeti. Gianluca here from Kyoto. First impressions are pretty good, especially if you tend to appreciate the most typical part and the most traditional one of Japan, because, it's a technological city as well, like Tokyo, on an inferior level probably, but they tend to, give more value on the traditional part through the architecture of the temples, the traditions of the place. That's pretty nice. Especially if, you tend to like an atmosphere, a pretty quiet atmosphere, when you have the time to think, to reflect, be focused on yourself, especially.
very nice. Would you like to go to Japan? We can pop there on the way home.
Oh, I don't know about that, Ick. I have got quite a lot of trips this year, but I'm kind of doing it the old-fashioned way.
Fair enough, Paul. Anyway, I've got to go and put some more coordinates into the computer to make sure we get to where we want to go.
All right, well, that's fine. Listeners, there'll be some more extra material in a bit, but first of all, I thought I would, let's see what we've got this episode. Okay, well, first up, I thought the theme of this episode, nothing to do with space, really, but not every episode can be about space. I thought, because if you remember, depending on when this episode comes out, Matty and I went to see ABBA Voyage back when he visited here, which was back in April. But goodness knows when you heard those recordings. But anyway, we went to see ABBA Voyage. It was something I wanted to do for years, and I hadn't always had the money for it 'cause it's not cheap. But anyway, so I'm a bit of an ABBA fan, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. We have sort of dabbled in ABBA fandom before now in episodes of the Shy Life podcast, and we will again today. This time we've got a quiz. Now, I don't know. ABBA is definitely one of my big fandoms, but unlike Doctor Who, I've never liked being to a social event, or I've never mixed with that many other ABBA fans. I mean, everyone's an ABBA fan. Well, that's not necessarily true, but lots of people that you meet on the street are ABBA fans. There are probably more ABBA fans on the street than there are Doctor Who fans in many ways. But it's something you can share an appreciation of without being an obsessive fan. You know, millions of people have been to see Mamma Mia. Millions of people own ABBA Gold. But I don't know quite where I stand on ABBA fandom, because as I say, I've never sort of been to conventions. I've never really hung out with other ABBA fans, like super nerdy ABBA fans, in the way I have with Doctor Who. So, but on the other hand, I feel like I know probably more about ABBA than the average man on the street. Like, my favourite ABBA song isn't Dancing Queen. So, yeah, I hope I'm going to be able to answer these questions. We've got, I can't remember how many questions we've got, but we've got a fair few, and it's multiple choice, so that's something. So I think we should get started. You can play along as well at home. I think we get the answers as we go along. Let's see. Yeah, 20 questions. Depending on whether these episodes have got out yet, I did a quiz with Andy, the birthday twin, about Prisoner Cell Block H, and the internet didn't get it right. But Andy and I knew enough to know that it wasn't right. So it may be if things aren't right with this quiz, I will notice, or it may be that I don't notice. So if any of you listeners hear something which you think doesn't sound right, then you might need to fact check it and let me know. But let's just get started. Let's not worry too much. Okay. Which early ABBA track was originally submitted to the Melodifestivalen under the Swedish title Ring Ring, Bara du slag en signal? So yes, I mean, that is the, gosh. Okay. That's a really stupid question. I was just going to explain what the Melodifestivalen, I think it's I might be wrong, but I think it's where they choose what song is going to go into Eurovision, but it's a contest in its own right in Sweden. Yeah, I feel like they've got this question wrong because, because they've basically given the answer in the question. The Swedish title is Ring Ring. Okay, let me give you the options. Which early ABBA track was originally submitted to this festival under its Swedish title, Ring Ring? Is it Here's Your Brother? Is it People Need Love? Is it Ring Ring? Or is it Another Town, Another Train? I'm going to go with Ring Ring because it's the same title in Swedish. Ring Ring was submitted to Melodifestivalen in 1973 under its Swedish title. Yeah, anyway. Well, let's just say that was a very easy first question. I did ask for tough questions because the first quiz that came along, I thought this is just going to be too easy. It was like, what country does ABBA come from? America, Sweden, Germany. I was like, this is too basic. Anyway. Oh, Internet, I do love you. Let's look at question 2. Let's hope question 2 is a little bit more complicated or obscure. Which ABBA member took formal jazz and classical singing lessons before joining the group? Was it Bjorn, Benny, Agneta, or Annefrid? I feel like it might be Annefrid. I don't think it's either of the boys. Although, you know, they do sing. I could be wrong. Gonna go with Annefrid, and I'm not sure why. It's a good thing I did, because Annefrid trained in jazz and classical styles before ABBA. At least according to this quiz. Okay. Question 3. Which studio did ABBA use extensively, later becoming famous for its unique ABBA sound? Was it Atlantis Studio? Was it Polar Studios? Was it Metronome Studio? Or was it EMI Studios? Any guesses? I feel like I'm enough of a fan to know that it was Polar Studios. This is where I find I'm wrong. But I'm not wrong. Polar Studios in Stockholm became ABBA's main recording base. Yep, good. Question 4. Which ABBA song features a rare lead vocal by Bjorn rather than the female vocalists? Not that rare. They are a fair... Well, okay, so there's about a handful of songs where the boys have lead vocals. So let's have a look at the options. Is it Does Your Mother Know? Is it The King Has Lost His Crown? Is it On and On and On? Or is it Rock Me? I only say because there's potentially 2 songs on that list with male vocals. Interesting. We can delete The King Has Lost His Crown from Voulez-Vous, because that's definitely not a male vocal. On and On and On from Super Trooper is definitely not a male vocal. So it's Does Your Mother Know, or it's Rock Me. Now I would have said, I might have to do some fact checking. I would say that both had, because Bjorn tends to sing the vocals if what out of him and Benny. I'm sure Benny does sing, but I don't remember a lead vocal with Benny. I think I'm going to have to go with Does Your Mother Know? Because that is certainly the more famous of those 2 songs. Yeah, we were right. Does Your Mother Know is one of the few ABBA songs sung by Bjorn, but we're going to have to fact check it. Who sung lead vocals on the ABBA track Rock Me? You see, Bjorn sang lead vocals on Rock Me. So yeah, there were 2 answers there, but I think if we'd have chosen Rock Me, it wouldn't have been the right answer, but it is a right answer. So listeners out there, if you did choose Rock Me, then you also have that right. Next question. Which instrument did Benny Andersson frequently use to create ABBA's signature layered keyboard textures? Was it, this is a difficult one, was it a Roland Jupiter 4? Was it a Moog Mini Moog? Was it a ARP Odyssey? Or was it a Yamaha GX1? I have absolutely no idea. But I feel like the ARP Odyssey might be the right answer. Only because I feel like I've heard it mentioned in articles. Those other ones, they seem pretty more basic. ARP Odyssey sounds like something a bit more epic. Let's see. We are wrong. It's the Yamaha GX1. The Yamaha GX1 was central to ABBA's lush keyboard arrangements. I'm so unsure about, did ABBA the Yamaha GX1 to make their songs. Sounds like they're doing it with AI. Yes, ABBA used the Yamaha GX1 to create their music. Okay, I've never heard of the GX1. Apparently it was used extensively during touring and also on their album The Visitors, which is one of their more obscure albums, although it's become more well known over time. Okay, question 6. Which ABBA album was the first to be recorded entirely at Polar Studios? Super Trooper, Arrival, the album, or Voulez-Vous? Arrival is the earliest of those. They've been presented to us slightly out of order. Super Trooper is the newest of those albums. Well, the later of those albums. I'm going to go with Arrival, but I can't be sure. I'm wrong. Voulez-Vous apparently was the first album recorded fully at Polar Studios. Now, I'm not going to fact check every question. If you know differently, let me know. It's annoying though because Voulez-Vous is my favourite ABBA album. It's the album that's got things like Voulez-Vous on it and Chiquitita. But the reason I like it so much, even though it's the album that has Angel Eyes, which is one of my favourites as well. It has some really solid album tracks, and it was also an album my mum and dad bought me when we went on holiday to Athens and Rhodes in 1980. So I have a nostalgia, an affection for that album. It's bizarre because one of the singles, "I Have a Dream," it's a lovely song, but it's a bit soppy. It's not my favourite. I think it's because the album tracks are very strong, like As Good as New and Kisses of Fire and The King Has Lost His Crown and If It Wasn't for the Nights and Lovers Live a Little Longer. They're some of the best tracks. I mean, as an ABBA fan, I do love a lot of their album tracks anyway, and the B-sides of their singles. But this is what I mean about being slightly more than the average ABBA fan on the street. I definitely do have a nerdy element to my ABBA fandom. Which ABBA song was inspired by a visit to a disco in Miami? Was it Lay All Your Love on Me, Gimme Gimme Gimme, Voulez-Vous, or On and On and On? It could really be any of those, but which is the most dancey of those songs? I mean, I would say either Gimme 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 or Voulez-Vous, but I'd say that Gimme 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 is like the pinnacle of the disco era. So I'm going to go with Gimme Gimme Gimme, but really, I don't know when they were in Miami, so I'm wrong. But my other option was right. It was Voulez-Vous, influenced by the Miami disco scene. Okay. Next question. Which ABBA track was one of the first in pop music to use a fully digital recording chain? Was it Head Over Heels? Was it One of Us? Was it Slipping Through My Fingers? Or was it The Visitors? Now, I'm going to sort of push aside One of Us and Slipping Through My Fingers, only because they're relatively simple songs. Head Over Heels does use a bit of... I don't really know what a fully digital recording chain is, that's the trouble. Head Over Heels is a little bit... Well, it's one of the... Well, they're all late songs. They're all songs from about 1981, this is the trouble. The Visitors is quite experimental, though. So I might go with The Visitors because I'm kind of thinking it would have taken, a little bit different technology to achieve the finished track. Hey, I was right. The Visitors was among the earliest fully digital pop recordings. Cool. Okay, my theories worked out in that case. Which ABBA B-side later became a fan favourite despite never being a major single? Was it Crazy World, Happy Hawaii, Love Light, or Should I Laugh or Cry? It's difficult. Crazy World, that's quite early. Happy Hawaii is it's an early version of a song that appeared on Arrival, I think. Love Light, I imagine Love Light's a nice song, but I don't know if it's a fan favourite. Should I Laugh or Cry is a later song, but it's sort of, I think, I'd say that might be a fan favourite. It's quite a difficult question, that one. Let's go with Should I Laugh or Cry. Okay. It says that Should I Laugh or Cry is a well-known ABBA deep cut. I'm not sure how well-known it is, but could have been a single, I think. Of those ones, it's probably maybe Love Light. Anyway, which ABBA song was originally written for a children's charity event? Was it Thank You for the Music, I Have a Dream, Our Last Summer, or Chiquitita? I think Chiquitita was for a charity, but then I'm slightly confused because I Have a Dream has children in it. But I think I might go for Chiquitita because I think it was for the charity event. Yep, it was. Chiquitita premiered at the 1979 UNICEF concert. Okay, we're not doing too badly. And I'm not seeing any answers that I'm really sort of like, well, that can't be right sort of thing. Other than that first one, which was just silly because the answer was in the question. Okay, which ABBA member released the solo album Wrap Your Arms Around Me after the group paused activity? Was it Agneta, was it Benny, Bjorn, or Annifrid? I know that one for sure. That's Agneta. Yeah, I like the song. I like the title track is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, Agneta released "Wrap Your Arms Around Me" in 1983. Yeah, and I remember that's when I've seen repeats of Top of the Pops, she pops into the Top of the Pops studio to quickly mention she's got a new album coming out, and yet they don't let her sing anything from it. And I don't think, I'm not sure if anything from that album was actually a hit in the UK. I don't know why that was the case. I was too young. I was only 10 or something. 9, possibly. Which ABBA track features a rare use of a vocoder in the backing vocals? The Visitors, Under Attack, Summer Night City, Super Trooper. I mean, the Visitors is technologically, wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't some vocoder in there somewhere, but I'm thinking it's Under Attack because, I don't know, it sounds very robotic, that song, in places. I might be wrong. I could be tripped up by this one. It could be one of those others. Let's try Under Attack. Oh, I was right with my original guess. The Visitors. I think it's the way that Frida sings on Under Attack. Don't know what to tell you. Well, she doesn't sing it quite like that. That just sounds like Cuthbert the Robot. But yeah, The Visitors doesn't surprise me because it does have a lot of effects. It's not vocoder in the like Cher singing Believe type way. It's probably a lot more experimental than that. But fair enough. Which ABBA song was originally intended for the musical Chess? The Day Before You Came, I Let the Music Speak, When All Is Said and Done, or One Night in Bangkok? Well, I don't consider One Night in Bangkok as an ABBA song. I think there are demos, but it was never released as an ABBA song. I mean, it may have been released in some, in a box set of rare materials, etc. But I don't know. Have I even heard ABBA's version? Or is there an ABBA version? I Let the Music Speak sounds like it should be from a musical, but I'm going to go with One Night in Bangkok because, as far as I know, and I haven't seen Chess at the theatre, but I'm pretty sure that was from Chess, so I'm going with that one. Oh, apparently, well, I don't know. This could be the internet being cruel, but it says I Let the Music Speak was an early example of Bjorn and Benny's theatrical writing. Well, yes, it was, but was it intended for Chess? I'm not so sure about that. I don't know. We haven't got time. One Night in Bangkok, I think, is actually... Oh, gosh, let me... So, was I Let the Music Speak by ABBA intended for Chess? They hadn't started working on Chess, had they? The musical Chess doesn't mention that song at all as being intended. It was theatrical, I agree with that. Was One Night in Bangkok in Chess? Yes, that is intended. But I don't. I wonder, did ABBA record a version version of One Night in Bangkok, because I know him so well. I think that there may be. I know him so well, which was done by Barbara Dixon and Elaine Page, which was that in Chess? I think there might be demo versions with the ABBA. No, ABBA didn't record a version of One Night in Bangkok. It would have sounded weird. Version of I Know Him So Well. Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, it says that ABBA did not record a version of I Know Him So Well either. But I'm sure there are early versions where they're maybe not even as a duo. Oh, let's move on. I'm being too geeky, and I don't know enough to be sure. Okay. So, question 14. Which ABBA album features cover art photographed inside a TV studio? Is it ABBA the Album, Super Trooper, The Visitors, or Voulez-Vous? Well, it's not the ABBA. It's not the album because that's artwork. The Visitors, I don't think that's a TV studio. I think it's actually they're in a room which is all very dark and moody. I think that's an actual museum or house, maybe in Stockholm. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I know people who visited there and things. So I don't think that's a TV studio. Voulez-Vous, it's hard to tell where that's taken. I'm sure it's recorded. I mean, I like with Doctor Who that where so much of the information was recorded, there are books with equal sort of depth about ABBA, which I actually own them, but I haven't read them yet. So I'm going to go with Super Trooper because the video for Super Trooper was done. It looks like a TV studio, but maybe I'm wrong. Well, no, it says it was shot in a TV studio with theatrical lighting. Which ABBA track includes a direct reference to the Cold War? Is it Eagle, The Piper, Soldiers, or The Visitors? I'm definitely going with The Visitors for that one. I don't think that's right. It says Soldiers, which is about soldiers, but The Visitors is definitely kind of about that sort of thing. Maybe Soldiers is too, but The Visitors is the one where people talk about. Okay, well, I'll accept the quiz, but I think it's wrong there. Visitors is sort of, very much along those lines. Which song was the last ABBA single released before their long hiatus? Was it Head Over Heels, One of Us, Under Attack, or The Day Before You Came? That's Under Attack. Yeah, it was ABBA's final single before their break. Although I believe Thank You for the Music was released from another compilation that came out in about 83, but I don't know if that. Well, I don't think they had much to do with that. It was more the record label. Because Thank You for the Music, although it's one of their most famous songs, it wasn't really released as a single. I mean, it may have been in some territories, but it wasn't released as a single. It must have just got a lot of play on it, because I remember being quite surprised when I started becoming a fan in the 80s. Like, oh, Thank You for the Music wasn't a big hit. It was just one of their songs that was played a lot and sort of became one of their signature tunes. But which ABBA song features a flute-like synthesizer riff inspired by folk music? Was it Eagle, Arrival, The Piper, or Fernando? The Piper, you could say, but I might be being sort of swayed by the fact that it's about a piper. I would say it's Eagle though, because it has that vibe. I might be talking nonsense, but since I'm talking nonsense, the piper heavily draws on folk and medieval motives. Fair enough, it does, but yeah, I guess Eagle does have a sort of. It probably isn't folky though. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I should have gone with the piper. What ABBA track was recorded in both English and Spanish for the Latin American market? Chiquitita, Dancing Queen, I Have a Dream, and The Winner Takes It All. This is difficult because it it's a whole album of Spanish language ABBA songs, and I think more than one of those songs is on there. Definitely not The Winner Takes It All. Chiquitita, maybe. You would have thought that they would have done a Spanish language version of Dancing Queen, but I'm not sure if they did. I Have a Dream. I can actually hear that in my head. I'm going to go with that one. I wouldn't be surprised if Chiquitita wasn't done as well. It says Chiquitita. The best way of checking this would... did ABBA record... I can't type. I have a dream in Spanish. Oh yeah, I can even guess. It says ABBA recorded "I Have a Dream" in Spanish as "Estoy sonando." Yeah, it was part of their album "Gracias por la Música," which they recorded in 1980, which is why I knew it wasn't "Winner Takes It All." Although "Winner Takes It All" did come out in 1980, but it would have been too much for a recent hit probably to have been included. Anyway, well, so I did get that right, but there was more than one answer. That was a typical AI internet question where it's pulled some information together, but it's not fact checked itself. Okay, 2 more questions. Which ABBA album includes the experimental instrumental track "Arrival"? This is another silly one. Is it The Visitors? Is it the album? Is it Arrival? Or is it Super Trooper? It's Arrival. I don't know how experimental it is, but I mean it's an instrumental. Anyway, I got it right. Which ABBA song was one of the first they recorded after reuniting for the Voyage project? Don't Shut Me Down, I Still Have Faith in You, Little Things, or Just a Notion? Well, the thing is, Just a Notion came from about 1978, was an unfinished track. So is that the answer, or is it Don't Let Me Down or I Still Have Faith in You, which was one of the first 2 singles that they released? I'm going to go with Just a Notion, but only because I don't quite know what the criteria of this question is. No, it's not the right answer. It was one of the oldest tracks included on the Voyage album, but it wasn't really... Well, they finished it, I think, after they reunited, but it's I Still Have Faith in You. Okay. So I got 55% right, but as we already know, the internet got at least 1 or 2 of those questions wrong. Possibly. Oh well, did my best. Listeners, it's time for you to listen to more extra material. I need to go and help Ick with some stuff. And then when we come back, we're going to check in with the chat room like we've done before when we've been in space. But yeah, have a listen to some extra material. Hi Toppy, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm anxious to talk to you because,
Oh, yes.
well, I know you've been up to something and you've been somewhere and you did something and I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, and depending on when this goes out, I've not released the episodes that I recorded, so you literally don't know. But I can give you I can answer your questions. It'll be different from the way that from what the listeners will be getting. What do you want to know? What do you want to know? Yes, I went on a cruise.
A cruise.
Yeah.
Now, this wasn't to some sunny island Caribbean, was it?
No,
Yeah.
no.
You went someplace different.
It was Norway, but I was able to travel from Southampton in the UK, which isn't too far from my home. Although one of the most hair-raising bits of the journey was we should have got a taxi from the railway station to the boat, but we got the bus, but the bus was really going to a different boat that regularly runs, not like, well, when I used to visit my friend Mark in the little island. It's the boat that goes to that little island, and it's a regular bus that. So it didn't quite go as far as where the the cruise ships went, and I guess it didn't look that far on the map, but unfortunately, it started to bucket down with rain, and it was windy, and yes, it wasn't the best street to be walking on because there were very few seats, and I do need to sort of sit and pause. We should have just when we went home, we took a taxi back, and it was absolutely. I don't know why we didn't do that on the way up, but we got there, and the trouble is I should probably have got assisted boarding because of my legs and stuff. But when I booked the cruise, I think I was talking to you about how I had a fall on holiday with fall from school. My leg was worse anyway. But the thing is, they don't seem to be able to cope with, like, you have to tell them you might need help or you do need help when you book, but then you book 6, 8 a year before you go. And they don't seem to be able to cope with the fact that the situation might change, which is weird because what if you twisted your ankle on the boat or something? You'd think in a ship that size, and it is one of the biggest. I think it's one of the biggest cruise liners, certainly in the UK, but maybe even in the world.
Can you name it, or do you want to give
the Iona?
Yeah,
the Iona is, and it's a P&O cruise ship, and it has up to 5,200 passengers. So it is big. But I've never been on a cruise before, so I don't really know what's the normal. Have you ever been on a cruise?
No, never.
Yeah, a lot of people in Pi 48 love cruises, don't they? And
That's a big thing.
But
they call them cruises of a lifetime.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to go on one for my 50th, but I couldn't afford it at the time, so this was more for my 52nd and a half birthday.
There you go.
But yeah, there was a bit of problem getting on board, partly because what I didn't take in is how many long snaky queues you would get when you had to check in different points. So you're literally going backwards and forwards down a queue for no real reason, just to sort of manage the crowd. But
Disneyland on a boat.
Yeah, but I needed seats. So in the end, I was with my friend Harry and his husband Eric, and they sort of said, "Well, you sit here, and we'll go and ask somebody. Is it strictly necessary for you to have to? There's nowhere to sit, and you're expecting him to stand for how long? Half an hour, 45 minutes, going backwards and forwards for no real reason, when he could just sit and you could call him when you're ready for him, sort of thing." So luckily they did put me in the queue, but then getting on board, it was like really steep ramps. I guess it was just where the tide was. So I was a bit exhausted by the time I got on board. And I think
so if they see you struggling, they don't come over and say, "Oh, how can we assist you?"
No,
they don't do that.
Not really, not unless you told them 6 months in advance. But I mean, to a certain extent, feeling exhausted was how the holiday went in a way, because for 8 days, even if I was just going to breakfast or going, it wasn't like when you're in a hotel you just go downstairs and have breakfast. The trouble is, on a cruise ship, certainly on this cruise ship, lifts go up and down. Yeah, fine. But if your room is one end of the ship and the restaurant is the other end, there's no way to go left or right. There's no like rolling, like you get at an airport sometimes. You have those sort of flat escalators that just make you cover whatever they're called. There's nothing to kind of get you across the ship quickly. I mean, I wouldn't expect one on every floor, but you could have one floor where there's something like that, and then you could take the lift to that floor, zip along, and then get back in the lift and go to the floor you want. But yeah, they don't seem to think of that. So there were a couple of times where I just had room service because I was like, I don't think I want to be. I certainly had a lot more naps. One of my day trips that I paid for and didn't get a refund for trying to get information out of them as to where we were supposed to be. You know, the trip started at 9:30, but where are we meeting you on the boat? Are we meeting you at the bottom of the gangplank? Are we meeting you at the little boat that is supposed to be taking us on the trip? And until the last minute, there was very little information. And when we did get the information, it was kind of like, oh, well, we meet at the end of the gangplank and then there's a 20-minute walk to the boat. Well, I can't do a 20-minute walk without stopping. If they'd have said it's boat number 10 at so-and-so, we could have left half an hour earlier and been heading on our way there. When I booked the trip, it was all like, oh, it's all very flat. And turns out that getting to the boat was the problem, not any of the actual trip. The next day, I had a trip. We'd gone to a different town, and it was a coach trip. And that day, the coach pulled right up to the boat, and so there was no problem. It was just sort of. But even so, when there were lots of people doing lots of different trips, and sometimes I don't know whether it was the cruise ship's problem or whether it was the people doing. I don't quite know who was running the trip. Or whether it was
they may not know either.
Yeah. But one way or another, you would have thought this was the first time they'd done this. Lots of buses pulled up, and it was like, sorry, is this the bus for the waterfall tour, or is this the bus for the coat? You'd think there'd be the bus would pull up by a stand or something that was already set up, but no, it wasn't as well organised as that. The actual trip when we got on it was the one I had to miss the first one and didn't get a refund because the one I did go on, it was really good when we got going and we saw some nice views and the guy doing the tour was great and we stopped for photo opportunities. Some of them I did, some of them I just sent Harry with a camera and said, I'll just have those photos, it's fine. Because you're only like stopping for 3 or 4 minutes. There's no point when you're going down a steep slope to try and take a photo and then stagger back up. And my view, I mean, I'm glad I had a balcony because I could just go and sit on the balcony. It was warm enough some days to sit on the balcony, or even when it wasn't the best of weather, you could sit on the balcony with a hoodie, or it wasn't ever freezing cold. Mm-hmm. And it would get dark at about midnight. So
at midnight it got dark. Oh,
yeah,
it's so far north.
Yeah, and it never felt as late as it really was. And I'm a night owl anyway, so I did take when I wasn't needed, I did take naps.
Well, when did the sun rise?
It would rise about 3 o'clock or something. So it would only be gone for a little bit. But so I would have extra naps if I had the chance. So I didn't really do stuff because there was a pool and a jacuzzi, and I didn't really do any of that because it was just
would have felt good.
Yeah, but then you had to have climbed up these little spindly steps.
I see.
I need to look at the moment. I need to look for any after the problems I had on my other holiday. I need to look for any opportunity where something bad could happen. It's like Final Destination around here these days.
Yeah.
I have to be very careful. Someone's got it in for the podcast. But food was good. It was a lot of it was already paid for, so in your original ticket. Some food wasn't. I didn't have a drinks package, so if I had a drink, I had to pay for that. But yeah, I had a big TV in my room. I had my own room, although really, I probably paid. But it was a double room. To have a balcony, I needed to have a double room. So I probably pay, like when you're in a hotel, sometimes when you have a big room, if there's only one person in the big room, you still pay the amount you'd pay if there were two of you. And I think that's what happened with me. The entertainment was all a bit middle of the road, sort of tribute acts to modern singers who I don't particularly care for. So
did they have a magic guy? They always have a magic guy.
They may well have done, because I didn't get to see it. There were so many different theatres, and I was supposed to go to a show one night, but the meal we went to, we had a taster menu where you had lots of different little courses. But they were quite fast to start with, but by the 6th or 7th course, which was only like, it was only quite tiny, but by the time we got to our dessert, it was kind of like, yeah, we're supposed to be in the theatre by now, but the two of us didn't really care whether we went or not, and we sort of said to Harry, if you want to run along, we don't mind. We'll catch up with you later. But, there we go, listeners. I hope you enjoyed that. Whilst we're still on the matter of ABBA, I thought I would just run through some facts about ABBA. 20 obscure facts. Of course, some of these may be wrong because it's the internet, but let's have a look. Their first ABBA logo wasn't the mirrored one. The iconic backward B logo only appeared in 1976. Before that, they used plain text and even toyed with other names. That is true. I do know that. Fact 2, they once performed under the name Festfolk. Before ABBA existed, the couples briefly used Festfolk, a Swedish slang that can also mean party people or engaged couples. Apparently it confused audiences and didn't last. I've never heard that before. Did ABBA ever use the name Festfolk? Yes, they used the name Festfolk. They first debuted as the Cabaret Act under this name in 1970, because they also sort of recorded as like Benny Bjorn, their full names, which was a bit of a mouthful. I think Festfolk's not a bad idea. I've never heard that. I guess it's probably because I haven't read the many various books I've got on them yet, but which is me being bad. ABBA nearly represented Sweden with a different song. They originally wanted to enter Eurovision 73 with Ring Ring, but the Swedish jury didn't pick it. Yeah, I knew that. They had to wait till 74 for Waterloo. And Yeti'S recorded a German language solo album at age 17. Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me. I know all of them recorded before ABBA, separately. The boys were in bands of their own, or they were part of different bands, and the ladies were both solo singers. Benny's first instrument was the accordion, which he learnt at the age of 6, played in his father and grandfather's folk band. Again, that doesn't really surprise me. ABBA's first US TV appearance was on a religious programme. They performed I Do, I Do, I Do on the Mike Douglas Show, which had a surprisingly conservative audience. I mean, yeah, I Do, I Do, I Do. Well, I mean, from the same time, Honey, Honey, I can't imagine that being sung on a religious show because there's so much heavy breathing. I mean, I Do, I Do, I Do is about marriage, to be fair, but apparently, yes, the next fact, they recorded songs in Spanish because of a Mexican pirate label. A bootleg Spanish language cover album became so popular that ABBA decided to record official Spanish versions themselves. Frida is technically a princess. Yep. She married Prince Heinrich Ruse of Plauen in 1992, giving her the title Princess Ruse of Plauen. Yeah, I knew that. Their costumes were deliberately outrageous for tax reasons. Swedish tax law allowed deductions for stage clothes only if they were too impractical to wear in daily life, hence the wild outfits. I didn't know that, but again, now I'm not sure if this next fact is muddling two things together. So if they once wrote a mini musical for UNICEF, The Girl with the Golden Hair was a 25-minute pop opera performed during their 1977 tour. I don't know. That is true. There are 3 songs on ABBA the album which are sort of subtitled The Girl with the Golden Hair, and the songs, well, that's where Thank You for the Music comes from, and another song called I Wonder, and another song called I'm a Marionette. But I don't know if UNICEF had anything to do with it. As we said before, UNICEF was involved with Chiquitita a couple of years later, but unless it was done for that reason then as well. I think it's mixing up two lots of facts. But was UNICEF involved in ABBA? It doesn't want to answer that. No, I knew that they wanted to write a musical, but I don't think it had anything to do with... I'm not sure it had anything to do with UNICEF, but Chiquitita does. And also Chiquitita apparently means little girl, so that might figure that the internet was confusing those. Okay, the band almost broke up in 1979, and Yeti and Bjorn's divorce created huge tension. The group considered ending things right after the Voulez-Vous era, which would have been a shame. I mean, understandable, but it would have been a shame. We wouldn't have got Super Trooper, or Winner Takes It All, or The Day Before You Came, or any of those songs from the last two albums, let alone... Well, whether if they'd have broken up, they would have come together again at a different time. Who knows? But somewhere out there, there's a different dimension, probably, where things happen differently. An alternate dimension. Sorry, I'm drinking coffee. I'm not sure when it will call me back again. So I'm trying to get coffee whilst I can. ABBA's studio was built in a former cinema. Polar Studios in Stockholm was once a movie theatre. Its acoustics helped shape their signature sound. They used a double tracking trick to create their vocal blend, and Yeti and Frida often recorded the same lines multiple times to create a shimmering choir-like texture. Yeah, that makes sense. In the same way as I think Queen did something very similar. Their first hit in Australia wasn't Waterloo, it was Ring Ring. It became a massive radio favourite over there long before the rest of the world caught on. I know Australia was very early with their ABBA fandom, although weirdly they fell out of love with them, at least in the time that they were still together. They fell out of love with ABBA Australia earlier than the rest of the world did. I'm pretty sure that things like Winner Takes It All or Super Trooper weren't big hits in Australia. We have talked about this before. So when they were still big in other territories, Australia had kind of had enough. Probably because they started being into them early on. They recorded a song entirely in Swedish for a children's charity, Hovers Vittne. 200 copies, is now one of the rarest ABBA records in existence. Yeah, I'm not sure. We need to fact check that, but we haven't got time. ABBA once considered making a full-length movie musical. After the success of ABBA the movie, which actually was set around an Australian tour, so, the fact that it was filmed in Australia says a lot about how big they were at the time. They did consider doing a fictional musical film, but abandoned it due to exhaustion. I haven't really heard much about that, but that's just, I'm sure there is more to be said about that. They used early digital recording before most pop acts. Polar Studios had one of the first 32-track digital recorders in Europe used on The Visitors. Most tracks I've ever used on the Charlotte podcast, I think, is 4, maybe 5. And when I started, it was more like 2 or 3, but let alone 32. I try and do as much as I can with 4 tracks. I used to have problems with the laptop I was using where it struggled if I made a project much more than 4 tracks, 3 or 4 tracks. Frida's hair colour was changed for marketing purposes. She was naturally blonde, but the group dyed her hair red to visually contrast with Agneta. But the group dyed her hair. Sounds like they all crowded around her and, here, put this red stuff on your hair. They recorded a song called Just Like That they refused to release. Fans consider it a holy grail track. Only fragments have ever been heard. That's not true, the last bit. There are pretty much full versions of it on the internet. Different versions that were demos that have been tweaked around and remixed. And yeah, I mean, the full song, it's. I don't know why. There is a problem. They don't seem to like it. Or maybe Benny doesn't like it. Yeah, it's a perfectly good ABBA track. It's maybe not the best song they ever wrote, but it's certainly not the worst. It would have made a perfectly decent single. I hesitate to suggest that it may have even helped their fortunes around the time when they weren't doing so well, but I don't know. Yeah, has sort of become a holy grail track in many ways, though, because there's no official ABBA release of that song, just lots of tinkered versions on the internet. Their breakup was never officially announced. They simply took a break in 1982 and didn't release new music together until 2021. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, I think it's time for some more extra material. When we come back, we have we have a few more bits and pieces to share. I won't stop in natter. We'll get on with some extra material. Otherwise, I'm worried that Ick will need me again. So, yeah, all right. Two of the days we stopped in places where I didn't get off the boat. One because there was a big waterfall, and yes, I could have got off the boat and walked closer to the waterfall. But over the years, I've been to quite a lot of waterfalls, and I've been to Oregon and been taken around loads of lovely waterfalls in Oregon, and stood quite close to them. And I could zoom pretty well on I didn't think it was impressive, but it wasn't the best waterfall that I've ever seen.
Sure.
I didn't think it was worth getting off the boat.
You know, if you ever came to Pickle Hollow, I'd take you to all the waterfalls we have.
Yeah.
We have a million of them.
Yeah. And the last place was just a bit sort of, yeah. Well, I went to a couple of trinket shops for souvenirs. And I just kind of grabbed fridge magnets and key rings, and I wasn't sure how many people I was buying for, really, postcards. But yeah, because you weren't even. It's the first time I've been overseas since 2019. So
really, God, that's so long ago.
And you didn't need to have paper money; everything was just cards. So even all the trinkets I bought, which were only very small things, in the two shops I went to, I probably spent £100. I didn't really have that much to show for it. So if I had gone into those other two towns, I probably would have spent another £100 or something on. When I got home, I cheated and I went on Amazon and I bought a couple of T-shirts with Norwegian things on.
There you go.
and a baseball cap with Norway on. Stuff I would have bought had I seen them. But some of these souvenir shops are so big, I just kind of go in, whilst I've still got energy, picking up things, putting them in, putting them in my pocket. No, putting them in putting them in the bag or whatever the thing they give you. Yeah. But then when I'm thinking, okay, time to stop now. I need to pay for it and get it back out again. But these shops are so big, you probably would have needed 3 or 4 different trips in. But also money-wise, you don't really want to be spending that much money. So I don't know if I didn't even get to the baseball cap section, and I think to a certain extent they're much more interested in woolly hats in Norway because So
did you get one?
No, but I've got one pre-ordered from Amazon, so okay. I'll pretend I have. All right. Plenty of hats, plenty of baseball caps with Norway on Amazon, and I did lots of recording, but I didn't do as much. I didn't video my room to show my mum. I actually had an internet package. So I literally rung my mum every day, and it didn't cost me anything more than what the package had cost. And a couple of times I sat on the deck and talked to my mum, but with the camera sort of pointing out so she could see what was going on. So that was kind of cool. Harry and Eric didn't have an internet package. I did. So I could call my mum, but if I wanted to send a message to Harry, he had to be hooked into the ship. Wi-Fi, but if he'd gone off boat, I couldn't contact him, and he couldn't even contact his husband at times. So it was like sort of, it's a shame there's not some sort of ship WhatsApp group or not necessarily WhatsApp, but something where you can contact people. But I guess they'd say, well, you got to get the internet package, but internet package is £125 or something. So
tell me, Norway, you know how some places that have existed, like forever, sometimes have the most advanced things because they just got around to just having the most advanced services. What's Norway like? Have they gotten, is everything digital or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like they're just advanced.
It looks very clean. The guy on the bus was telling us about how good it is to live in Norway. Like, there's not really any unemployment. If you want a job, you get a job. There's always a job available. You always got, like, when it comes to the end of life, there's always a place for you in an old people's home. And if you don't want to move into an old people's home, then they'll come, they're there. They'll support you and come to your house for as long as it remains possible.
Yeah. Boy.
I mean, yes, they pay high taxes and everything, but there's no like like it is in the UK, but even more so. Hospitals are free and everything. There's lots of political parties, but the ones that are like in the top 10 party, none of them are extreme, and they all tend to work together to get they want the best for the community. It really did sound a bit like a paradise, really.
Mm.
You know, um,
How about the disposition of people? Are they friendly?
yes, but I didn't meet that many really because you're on the ship, and I don't think there's that many Norwegians on the ship. It
Yeah.
did feel like, you know, you were you were coming into the port, and then it depended on how much time you spent off the boat. I didn't go to a restaurant, whereas Harry and Eric did. They went a couple of times to restaurants. They might have got a better feel. I mean, I have been to Norway before. I went to Oslo about 20
Oh,
years ago. But yeah, I mean, funny enough, the guy on the bus is I guess he may even be Norwegian now, but he was from America originally,
I was
and
going to say he's from Pakistan.
well he was a black American, and he came over. He married a lady in they had kids in. She was Norwegian. She's passed away now, but he's still alive, and family is very important. So he had a massive family who are his family, but they were her family
Yeah.
before. So he's not moving back, partly because why would you want to leave when you've got all the benefits of Norway? Plus, he's
Yeah.
got this massive family through marriage, and yeah, it did feel like you were dipping your toe, and it depended on how much you were off the boat. Even though I was in Norway when I was on the boat, it's not the same as
No.
interacting. So I did feel like, yeah, I want to get off the boat at least a couple of times. But
And
um,
what was the people on the boat like? Where were most of them from?
the passengers,
Yeah,
I would say the UK, but
but all different.
yeah, well, and from up north as well, and yeah, it was quite sort of some older, but there were some younger people there. Yeah, so I didn't really have long conversations. You tend to have little conversations. People were very friendly and they'd say hello. Not every person, but yeah, people would say hello as you were sort of as you walk past or whatever. Or in the lift, you'd have little chats with people.
Hmm.
Um,
And when you did go sit at a table to eat on the boat, were they assigned? Was it assigned seating? How did that work?
sometimes it was like a buffet where you helped yourself, and sometimes it was table service. In the more in the posher, like that tasting menu we had.
Mhm.
Um, so it was you had a swipe card on which was also your door key, but it was preloaded with about £100 for the first few days, and if you went over that, it just connected to a card that you'd already put online.
Mhm.
So you didn't need to carry money, and you just needed to show if you took an order, you just had to show um the guy or the girl who had the device. Um,
And do they tip in Norway or on
the,
a boat
there was
culture? Do you tip a lot?
you don't tip on the boat. I imagine you would probably have tipped if I'd have gone to a restaurant, maybe depending on what sort of restaurant you went to. But no, there's no real way of tipping on the boat. But then you
So
pay.
after people come and bring you your dinner, they don't stand there with their palm
No,
open, waiting for you to put a
no, because
penny in it.
you don't have any. Probably don't have any pennies.
Yeah.
And you know, the same with the room service. It did feel like with the room service that's when maybe you would expect a tip, but there's no way of tipping. So um
I've heard
and
some people say that they would have the same people attending to them, and you'd get to know them. Um, like the people that brought you your food, or they check in on you, whatever. It was the same guy every
There
time.
was a guy who was in charge of like cleaning my room if I wanted it cleaned. But I saw him a bit. He was a bit desperate to come in every day, and some days, I wanted to rest. I wasn't going to leave. I wasn't intending to leave the room until later in the day. Um, so I did have it cleaned some days, but not every day. But then I never saw him in the later half of the week. But we were sort of introduced to somebody who was sort of supposed to be our contact point. But
Yeah. And the people that work on the boat, are they mostly Norwegian, or are they from all over?
they're all over the world. Yeah,
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah. And yeah. Well, by the time this chat goes out, I should probably be getting some of what I've recorded is like a diary, and some of what I recorded is a story. So yeah, so this might go out before both of those. So I'm not sure the speed of things quite when you'll hear what I recorded, but it has been recorded. So
I was just gonna say I have a new life ambition if I could go back in time,
mm,
and it would be to uh, develop a really good magic act.
yeah,
Not like big props or anything, just uh, and develop a really good magic act, and then spend work on cruise ships.
yeah,
And you have a gig, maybe a couple, maybe even three times a day, but other than that, you're on
mm,
your own. You do whatever you want.
yeah.
I would have that. Oh man, that seems like a good way to make a living.
We could do it together. I could read some of my silly poems, and then in between my poems, you do some magic, and we could have worked up a show, like an hour show or something.
Yeah. How come you didn't think of that?
I
Jeepers.
don't know. I shall. We'll do it in one of our imaginary conversations one day.
All right.
Anyway, well,
Well, what do you recommend it?
I would.
A
I
cruise
wasn't.
to Norway. Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend it. I wasn't at my best health wise, but yeah, everyone seemed to be having a great time, and I was, but it was harder for me because it was tiring. But yeah, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it again. I'm just saying probably need to be a bit further down my recovery before I attempt it, because I didn't
Yeah.
get the best out of it that I could have done. But yeah, it was a good first. Didn't put me off. The ice cream was good. Uh, I had some good ice cream. But, anyway, um, yes. Well, you wait. You'll hear more down the line anyway. So, if you have any further questions after hearing those episodes, then please ask.
All right then.
Okay, back again. Before we go any further, I was just having a look at the chat room. I haven't been a very good host this time. What with the what with the extra bits that I'm inserting into this episode. Zorplax77 says, your segment on ABBA's glitter outfits has caused three of my eyes to oscillate in admiration. Oh no, dilate. Oscillate sounds funny. Please advise where to acquire sequins. Are they edible? Did I talk about glitter outfits, or was this another occasion where they seem to be listening to an alternate dimension version of this broadcast? Murtilian Hum says, the earth creature you call the humpback whale sings better than my entire brood cluster. I'm offended yet inspired. Don't think that's not got much to do with. Sometimes the chat room talks about things I haven't talked about yet, because they're that they're looking to the future. It may be that I'm going to talk about this. Cornax of the Blue June says, ABBA's Dancing Queen makes my tentacles wiggle involuntarily. This is either joy or a mild allergic reaction. V. Laura says, your trivia about the band almost being named Baba has caused a philosophical debate in my pod. Would reversing the letters have altered the fate of your species? I don't remember mentioning Baba. I do think that somebody out there is listening to an alternate dimension version of this chat. Glupoid Prime says, I attempted to sing like your earth bird called the lyrebird. My neighbours have filed a noise complaint across 3 dimensions. Exy the Resonant says, please replay the part about the manatee humming. I believe it resonates with my home planet's mating call. This may be important. What? I don't. Dr. Splan says, your explanation of ABBA's songwriting process has inspired me to begin my own musical experiment. Early results, everything exploded. Continuing research. Oh dear. Takala of Orbit says, I have calculated that ABBA harmonies increase my ship's engine efficiency by 0.3%, requesting more trivia for scientific purposes. Nebulon Snack Dealer says, do humans often have animals that sing better than them? Asking for a friend who is human. And Rurkik says, your podcast is now mandatory listening for my hatchlings. They must learn the ways of rhythm. Goodness. It's quite something. But we do have some Hackney Art questions, which we'll do right at the end. But I wondered what it would be like if you were a cat, but also a pop star. And this is what I asked the internet about it, and they said you'd have a built-in adorability factor. Your fan base would skyrocket because even your sound checks would be cute. Viral potential. Every accidental meow during a live performance becomes a meme within minutes. Natural agility on stage. Leaping onto speakers and balancing on mic stands becomes part of the choreography. Merchandising goldmine. Plushies, paw print vinyl editions, branded scratching posts. The possibilities are endless. 9 lives for 9 tours. Exhausting schedule, but no problem, you literally respawn. Perfect pitch, sometimes literally. Cats have excellent hearing, so harmonising is easier than for most humans. Authentic rock star aloofness. Your natural feline indifference reads as mysterious artistic persona. Instant costume inspiration. Glitter collars, LED tails, tiny capes. You're a stylist dream. Backstage perks, gourmet snacks, heated blankets, and everyone wanting to pet you. You can nap anywhere, dressing rooms, tour buses, mixing booths. Every surface is a bed if you believe in yourself. That does sound good. Oh, apparently those were the pros of being a pop star cat. But there are cons of being a pop star cat. One is hair everywhere, backup dancers, microphones and fans leave covered in your fur. Unpredictable instincts, mid-concert zoomies or chasing a laser pointer can derail even the tightest set list. Especially with, a lot of these live shows, you get a lot of light, sort of holograms and lights zooming around. So yes, you could be distracted if you were a cat pop star. Press interviews are difficult. Reporters ask questions. You knock their pens off the table. Autographs are tricky. Paw prints, smudge and ink pads are a menace. Allergies to the audience. Some fans adore you, but most watch from afar with antihistamines. Temptation to nap mid-performance. Ballads become lullabies for you. Stage lights get too warm. You're basically wearing a fur coat under a spotlight. Choreography conflicts. Humans expect precision. You expect treats. Touring stress. New environments can be overwhelming, especially if they smell like unfamiliar dogs. And you can't resist knocking over expensive equipment, and the crew has had enough. Yeah. I think we need to look more theories or more information about the potential of pop star cats in future live episodes. But
how's it going?
It's been going well, Ick, yes. I've been fitting in some extra material, which has been good because it's been building up for a while, and I haven't always had the chance to use it. So, yeah, hopefully this episode is a mixture of live stuff and stuff we've been keeping from recent months in the archives to use. So,
Oh, that does sound good, Paul. Yes, that does sound good.
I thought so. Anyway, I think we're going to have to say goodbye. Don't you need me to tick a list or something?
I do, Paul. Listeners, during one of the extra material, we popped into basically an outer space version of IKEA and bought lots of different things I need for, the place that I'm trying to set up. It's like a holiday home on a meteor. I can't tell you too much because I don't want you turning up at my doorstep. But anyway, I need Paul to tick through the shopping list to make sure we got everything.
Yes, and I will do that. But anyway, we'll say goodbye, and then when we come back, we'll do the agony aunt letters in two sections.
That sounds a good idea.
Well, thanks, Ick. Thanks again for taking me out. I've enjoyed this. I liked the outer space version of the IKEA meatballs. Although I don't think that was IKEA, was it? I don't think IKEA does go out as far as space.
I don't think so, Paul, but still, I know what you mean. Yes, their menu was very similar.
It was. Anyway, listeners, I hope you've enjoyed some of the facts and bits and bobs that I presented you about ABBA, and that you're considering what it would be like to be a pop star cat, plus all the extra stuff. But anyway, we'll be back again soon, whether it be out in space or one of our other episodes. There's so much in the can to share with you, but technology has slowed me down recently, but we're keeping on.
Oh yes, Paul, well done.
Thank you, Ick. All right, goodbye for now.
Yes, listeners, goodbye for now. Until about 20 seconds time, and then we'll be back again.
We will, yes, we will. Okay, listeners, so to finish off with, I've got some agony aunt letters. Now, the ones I've collected together this time have been from animals who dream of being pop stars. We're sort of following on from the cat pop star thing. I got one here from a hedgehog who can't stop writing power ballads. Dear Paul, the Shy Yeti, every time I try to perform, my quills puff up from nerves and puncture my own microphone. My dream is to be the next great power ballad diva, but the equipment budget is getting out of hand. How can I stop sabotaging my own concerts? It's difficult. It is difficult. It's going to be difficult for you, like the wardrobe mistress and stuff, or whoever's doing the costumes with your quills. Maybe you need to be an albums band, basically. Maybe you just need to be in the studio. I don't know. I'm sorry. These are going to have to be very quick replies because we are running out of time. The next letter is from a goldfish with a 1 second attention span. It must be more than that because otherwise he wouldn't get around to writing the letter. But Dear Paul the Shy Yeti, I want to be a pop sensation. I want to be a pop sensation, but I forget my lyrics halfway through every song. Actually, I forget them halfway through every line. My producer says my loop-like style could be a trend, but I'm not convinced. Should I embrace the repetition or try memory training? I don't know. Maybe focus on performing on TikTok. They like very short videos. Could you have a could you have like an auto cue? Would you be able to remember that you were supposed to be performing every time you sort of got that reset, or is that not going to work? Anyway, a couple of suggestions. The next one is from a giraffe who wants to be a boy band frontman. Dear Paul the Shy Yeti, the other members say I ruin the choreography because my head is always out of frame in music videos. I've tried crouching, but then I look like a confused deck chair. Should I go solo, or is there a future for a boy band with one extremely vertical member? Again, also, if they have you far in the distance to balance out, that would be bad. I think you do need to go solo, unless they could just film your bits separately. But obviously when you're on the stage, you can't really get around it that way. I'm sorry. This one's from a mole who dreams of stadium tours. Dear Paul the Shy Yeti, I've written an entire synth pop album, but I can't perform under bright lights. They make me squint like a disgruntled raisin. My manager suggests sunglasses, but I already bump into everything. How can I shine on stage when I literally can't handle the shine? Well, maybe you need to do slightly more subdued music, maybe more dark, sort of shadowy. Yeah, you could sing sort of torch ballads, or you don't have to be singing. But the thing is, if that's what your dream is, to do more sort of mainstream pop. But I can see you in some sort of club, smoky sort of. Although you can't smoke in clubs anymore. Maybe then get the dry ice out for you, but even then, that could affect your eyes, couldn't it? Oh dear. The next one is from a parrot who's too good at imitations. Dear Paul the Shy Yeti, every time I sing, I accidentally mimic another artist perfectly. The audience loves it, but I want to be known for my own voice, not everybody else's. How do I stop sounding like a walking, squawking tribute act? I don't know. Maybe what I can suggest, why don't you find somebody who isn't very well known but can sing? Then you can imitate them. Nobody would know that that's what you were doing. I think that's the answer. You can also do duets. You don't have to be a solo artist. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the answer. Skylight Podcast. Thanks for listening. Join us again soon. Okay, just a few more letters. We've got so many, I think we're going to have to save some for another time. But the next one is from a sloth who writes dance anthems. Dear Paul the Shy Yeti, my songs are upbeat, energetic and perfect for the club, but I perform them at sloth speed. By the time I finish the first chorus, the audience has gone home, had a nap and come back. Should I change my genre or my metabolism? I think you need to change your genre. Again, maybe you could duet with the mole. You know, you both would perhaps have similar vibe. You could be a great double act, like a sort of even more morose Pet Shop Boys. Sorry, Pet Shop Boys. I love Pet Shop Boys. The next letter is from a wolf with an overly dramatic howl. Dear Paul the Shy Yeti, my howl is powerful, emotional, and apparently too intense for daytime radio. I want to release a soft pop album, but every track ends up sounding like a tragic moonlight lament. How do I tone down my natural drama? I don't know that you can, but do you need to be on daytime radio? Couldn't you just become like a stage, somewhere that, you know, like working musicals or something, where drama is essential? I don't know. As I say, very quick answers to these, I'm afraid. I will try and write longer replies to all of these. The next one is from a penguin who wants to be a summer festival icon. I dream of performing at sunny beach festivals, but I melt into a sweaty puddle of feathers whenever the temperature rises above Arctic breeze. Should I give up on my warm weather ambitions or demand refrigerated stages? I don't think that's a bad idea. Could be expensive, but I think it's the only way you can. Nobody likes to see a sweaty singer on stage. And I know it happens with some artists, but I think you need this, you know, the stage. You need the environment that suits you to do your best work. Okay, next up we have a cat who refuses to take direction. Dear Paul the Shy Yeti, my producer says I need to follow choreography, but I only dance when I feel like it. Sometimes I walk off mid-rehearsal. Sometimes I nap on the mixing desk. Is it possible to be a pop star without compromising my feline independence? I think it's possible, but it might suit either sort of punk music or something with attitude or something that's experimental. Then coming and going perhaps would be expected and wouldn't be so, if you're basically the cat version of Kylie Minogue, then people want you on the stage performing. They don't want you to suddenly wander off. But if you're like the cat version of the Sex Pistols, then perhaps, if you kick over the drum set or even we on the stage, perhaps is more expected. This is the last one I've got time for. It's from a toad with a surprisingly beautiful voice. Dear Paul the Shy Yeti, everyone expects me to croak, but when I sing, it's angelic. Audiences love it, but other toads accuse me of selling out my swamp roots. How do I stay true to myself when my own species thinks I'm too glamorous? That is difficult. That is difficult, but, from somebody who has the same problem. I've been told I'm too beautiful for podcasting, and that really I should be in front of the camera on YouTube. But luckily I've done both, so maybe you need to diversify and do different things. Sorry, I really don't think I'm beautiful. I'm just being very silly. But no, and yes, Mr. Toad. Don't worry about people telling you you've sold out. Do your own thing. A lot of people are only ever going to hear you on the radio anyway, or maybe listen. Just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. If the songs are good, if the material's good, and your voice is good, that's all that matters. Yes, I mean sometimes those marketing you maybe some people would rather. If you had a beautiful angelic voice, they would wish that you didn't look like a toad, but it's a very fickle business, show business. So just if worst comes to the worst, come on the podcast. We'll make you a podcasting star. You can sing to all my listeners. But at the moment I have to go. So goodbye, listeners. Goodbye, singing toad. Goodbye, everybody we've discussed tonight. Goodbye, ABBA. Don't go. Please stay. All right. There'll be more soon. Okay. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.
Oh, Paul, that was marvellous.
It was. I think it's probably going to run quite long. What with the extra material too.
Oh, never mind about that.
We give good value.
We do. You do.
No. It's a team effort, Ick. You're the one taking me up into space.
Oh, I suppose so. Did you check the chat room again?
Oh, I didn't. I wasn't convinced they were even in the same dimension as us.
Oh dear. All right. Right. Come on. Let's go through this shopping list.
Yes. Okay. I don't know if I can even pronounce some of these things.
Oh, do your best, Paul. Do your best.
Yeah. What is a Rotox monitor?
You don't need to know.
Okay. 3 Rotox monitors.
Check.
A Feloponic. How do you say that?
Oh, Paul. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
No, I'm doing my best. I'll get there. It'll be fine.
Oh dear.
Eight hundred twenty-two.